Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to the stream. Oh boy, that's funny. So, as always, on Tuesdays, I just press play. I'm confused. Yeah. So yeah, today being Tuesday, we are gonna do something very boring. Most people don't like this part of chess. Sorry. Most people don't like this part of chess because it's difficult. But that's how you improve. Lagan, how you doing? Lagan, please, let's keep the challenges to what do you call it? To Fridays, okay? I'm not sometimes I'm not on lichess because I'm playing games. I'm on lichess because I'm learning. I'm on lichess because I'm looking at other things. I'm not often around there to play unless maybe I'm trying to raise my rating and all those kinds of things. So let's keep the challenges to Fridays, okay? Yeah, I saw your challenge this morning. I was setting up the studies we'll be looking at today, and I saw a challenge. Let's isolate it to Fridays, okay? So what was I saying? Yeah, so if you do want to get better at chess, it's like, how do I get better? It's like, how do I analyze? Like the issue I think most people face with analysis is like, how do I get better at analysis when I don't understand chess? It's like we feel like you need to have an intermediate or advanced um you know mostly when I stream long is because I'm interacting with the chat, but mostly I stream like an hour and a half, 2 hours, yeah. But mostly when I'm interacting with the chats, I get lost and I stream for long. So yeah, recently I've been streaming for 3 hours, but usually I stream for like an hour and a half, 2 hours. But let's see, because mostly the Tuesday streams don't last long because most people don't like these type of streams. But on Friday, I'll definitely stream at least like 3.5 hours. Yeah. If my PC just goes off suddenly, and it's not an internet issue, that's because it's overheated. I'm always checking up for this. I have a fan pointed at it, but yeah. So yeah, some people think that you need to have all the information in the world, or you need to have like a lot of information before you can analyze, but that's not the case. You just need to use the information you have and analyze from there. I will agree that certain concepts are difficult to identify when you're a beginner. Like it's difficult to identify them. It's difficult to spot them. Such that even when you're using the engine, you still struggle to see those concepts, right? That is where sometimes I'm like, having a coach is good. But if you have like a friend or someone who's like higher skilled than you could present it to them. But before you present it to them, try and figure out like what you think is going on. So you could present it to them and be like, oh yeah, I was looking at this position, the engine said this move is bad and it recommended this move, but I just couldn't understand. Is the reason for this move that the engine is suggesting to do so and so, or is it to do something else, right? Put in that work, right? Most people are likely to help you when you put in some work in what you are doing, right? You don't, like, for example, you don't just start a channel and then go to another person's channel and be like, shout me out. Right? Let's see that there's been some effort. It's not like you just started your YouTube channel, you have 20 subscribers and you're like, shout me out. That nobody's gonna help you. But when you, let's say you have reached like 900 subs and you go to a bigger creator and you're like, bro, I normally wouldn't do this, but I'm so close to 1,000, could you shout me out? And probably with someone you've known, right, they are more likely to help you. So if you want to improve in chess, what we're about to do today is actually very key in improving your game. So what we're going to do is, again, yesterday I streamed and played a lot of games, but I was in an arena. I didn't take enough time to look through the games. So what we're going to use this stream for is to try and look at the games. Now when we start, I will try to be You come back in an hour, no problem. When we start, I will try to be more like educative about it, try and do it step by step with you, but as we go on, I'll do less of the talking and just pure analysis, right? So if you join the stream very early, this, give me a second, this will be very beneficial to you. Give me a second. I forgot to turn on my Twitch. Even though I use Restream doesn't help me do Restream doesn't help me see certain stuff. Give me a second. Oh boy, you guys are annoying sometimes, but I appreciate it. Then leave a comment as well. Go to the video itself and leave a comment. Oh, I appreciate it. Look, like I really do appreciate it. You help, that helps with the engagement as well. Thank you so much, Iva. What did I say I was looking for again? Yeah, I said I was looking for Twitch. Okay. Okay. So let me just load this up first. You know, that would be so cool. But I mean, Twitch, all these guys know that if you give people the chance to put 7 likes on a video, they'll create 25 accounts and put 7 likes with each of them. Yeah. Okay. So like I said, as we are going to start here, let me just do my recording here so that I can make it like a YouTube video, or I'll record it. I'll script a YouTube video to do that. I'll script a YouTube video to do that. I think this would be very difficult for people if I just rush in. So without a script, here we go. So when it comes to analyzing a chess game, now there's one step we are going to miss. There's one key step we are going to miss here, which is you're highlighting the key moments in the game you played, right? So whilst you were playing the game, there were certain key areas that confused you, that you struggled to find a move, that you didn't understand the position, that you felt caused you to lose the game. These are key moments that happen at various points in the game. Maybe you got confused in your own opening. Your opponent played a line you didn't understand. You responded in a way you felt gave you a bad position, right? The step we are missing here is that I haven't played the game live right now and mentioned those things. This is the day after, right? So I think what you want to do is, after you've played a game, after you've played a game, preferably like a 15+10 game, you want to take note of those moments, either in your mind or you can write them down somewhere, but mostly during a game you won't have the time to write it down, right? So you want to highlight those positions in your mind, and you want to look at the highlighted moments first, right? You want to look at the highlighted moments first, and you want to do the analysis as quick as possible while everything is still fresh in your mind. That's why I'm saying that we are missing a step, because these games were played yesterday and I didn't take time to pause and analyze all of them. Some of them I did, but not all of them. So it's going to be 1 win, 1 loss, 1 win, 1 loss, 1 win, 1. That's how we're going to do it, okay? So since I've skipped that step, in what I'm trying to say is that I don't remember the key moments. We are going to try and look at this from the second step. So let's say you've looked at the key moments. Maybe we'll do that again. Let's say that you've looked at the key moments, and now you want to look at the game as a whole. this is what we are going to do. So we are kind of like in the second step. We didn't do the first step, which is what are the key moments. I may not remember them, or I may remember them and I'll mention them, but whatever is the case, this is what we want to start with. Okay, then next you take a look at the games as a whole, from the opening to the middle game to the end game. Now ideally you want to do this without an engine. That beautiful button here that makes you feel good about yourself or feel bad about yourself, you want to not press this button yet, because oftentimes the engine also does have this way of making people think, oh, number go down, position bad, number go up, position good. No, right? I've done an old video, I think it's still there. I'm yapping a lot today. I've done an old video which I think is still there, because I when I do a new one I remove the old one. But basically I spoke about the fact that 0 to 1.0 is basically an even game, right? 1.0 may be significant of an advantage, but it's not always. Reason why I say that is because of the Scandinavian is already giving like +1, like e4 d5. Engines like white is completely dominating the opening with +1. Okay, so with that out of the way, we are going to do this step by step. Again, people don't like this aspect, but this is what will help you improve as a chess player. So let's go step by step. So d4, d6, e4, g6. So this is an opening that I'm well aware of. It's not something that I now have to experiment with. Ideally, and for example, me playing d4, e4 here is not an opening I've studied, because if I was playing the opening I've studied, I'm going for the landing system, right? But me playing e4 here is basically playing on principle. Not to say that e4 is always and only the only best move here, but basically in chess, when your opponent plays passively and gives you the ability to take control over the center, more often than not you want to take over the center. So if they give you the center, you take over the center. That's e4 here, right? And I do have lines where e4 is played. g6, knight c3, bishop g7, bishop f4, knight c6, knight f3. So what do you notice here? What do you notice about what is happening in this position? You notice that we are moving our pieces out, but there's this small interaction that is going on here. And what is the small interaction you see? So sometimes when your opponent plays this move like d6, it's normally like a setup move for a move like e5 or c5. So you're already looking at attacking and defending this side. Now I'm not too bothered about c5, but d5, e5, I am a little bit bothered concerning the opening I want to play. So my opponent plays g6, I play knight here, which is the normal developing move. He brings his bishop, targeting my pawn, but it's very well defended, so I don't need to bother so much about it. Now I bring my bishop in, my opponent plays his knight, and now there's an issue that I have to deal with. This is why you don't like rush with your openings. So in analysis, you can take your time and ask yourself, oh, why is my opponent playing g6? Why is my opponent putting his bishop here? What is the plan that my opponent is going for? Now, other than the fact that both these guys are attacking this pawn, I can also notice that my opponent has increased the number of defenders. Sometimes I get confused about which one is defenders and which one is attackers, but I always say that, like, when you want to go to a square, you are the one attacking, so these will be the attackers, sorry, by my definition. So now we see that we have 3 attackers of the e5 square, whereas white has just 2. And if the attackers are more than the defenders, the attackers win. If the defenders are equal to the attackers, you are able to either defend the position or equally trade down everything. So anytime you want to attack a square, you need to have more attackers than your opponent's defenders, ideally. So already there are two issues I have to solve. So let's say you, for example, played a move like this. Let's say, for example, when you were playing the game, you made a move like this, and the engine, let's say, I said that this move was bad. The issue would not just be that you are preventing this bishop from developing, which is the first and foremost one you'd see, but that you are allowing this to happen to you, right? And you kind of give your opponent control here. Maybe this is not the best way to play, because I feel like now you are getting threatened here. But the point here is that your opponent has been able to establish this pawn here. I mean, it's not always a bad thing if it happens, but you get the point, right? So this is why in this position I played knight to f3. As a defender, right? So far nothing big has happened here, but I'm just taking it step by step. Again, the most important, the first point, which is the key moment, I don't remember. But just to let you know, this knight move is not something I often play in this position. So there are other things I could play here, and that's where my analysis is going to come in. So in this position, I sometimes I question myself about playing pawn push here, but I don't think it works in this position. Maybe it does, because let's say I play pawn push, takes, take. This is my issue, right? If my opponent plays bishop takes, this is fine, right? Because you can you can stop your opponent from castling, and then after he moves wherever, you then have like this move. But the issue I have with this is my opponent can initiate this, and after takes he just deals with this, and he doesn't lose castling. So I don't think e5 is a good move, in the sense that in the opening, black wants to have equality. So I think playing a move like this helps black quickly get equality, because the rook here is not going to be that influential. It's a good square, but it's not going to be that influential, right? So you don't want to give your opponent equality. So I'm going to highlight this move. So let's say I was like intrigued by that. I wanted to know more about what would happen if I played this move. In this game, I didn't play that move. I played knight here. But let's just say I wanted to try out this move. What would it do? What would the continuation be, right? So I can just highlight this move e5. Let me not play this. Let me delete this so that we keep it clean, right? So we highlight this move, that possible continuation, right? So we've listed that down, and we've looked at this. But is there any other thing my opponent could do in this position other than just taking instantly? Is there something else my opponent could do? Like, for example, this move. Is there something my opponent could do? And if so, what would be the best continuation? Would it be this? And now we even see a problem here. Now, okay, it's not really a problem. We still have the same idea here, right? Your opponent could do this, but maybe I don't think it's something that he would actually want to do. But these are things that you want to consider, right? So e5 is a possible continuation you want to think about. Now, if you analyze the position, let's say, and you kind of like the position that comes out of it, and the engine doesn't see that you are too bad, worse off, and you can like maneuver your way around this could be a line that you would try and add into your repertoire, right? Add into your opening repertoire. For example, there's one line in the landing system I'm always trying to build. We'll delete this soon, but like d4 d5, bishop f4, knight c3, pawn push, let's see, e6, knight jumps in here, bishop comes in here, this position, right? I play knight here, and then my opponent takes, queen comes in here, and then this is the move. I like the continuation for this opening, and I've been learning it for a while now. Now, it's not too bad for white, though like it does lead to drawish positions. But the way in which I try and play this opening is very interesting, though it's drawish, right? So you look at the position, and if it's something that you feel like, okay, this is decent, this helps me, right, then you can sort of just adopt it or like work on it at later points in time and try it in future games. There's a line that my opponent, one of my friends, one of my colleagues, I would say, in chess does, right? And it's a very good move if and only if your opponent plays into your line, your hand. Right, that doesn't often happen. So it's similar to the whole line that we are looking at here. G6, knight here, bishop here, and then here. But if your opponent comes in this way, you have pawn push, and there are some crazy lines that come out of this, especially after takes, right? And he's really looked into this line and checked it out. But the problem with, in as much as this line is very good and very challenging for black, the likeliness of you getting your opponent to commit to this is like almost close to zero, right? So that is what you'd have to take note of. And feel free to stop me at any point to ask me a question, right? Like I said, for this first game, I'm really going to take my time and explain the process of analysis, but then from then on, I'm just going to analyze like I'm not teaching anybody, right? So this is what I do subconsciously, or this is what I do in my mind, or this is what I do when I'm alone and all those kinds of things. But I'm trying to really break down step by step like what I do. That is why we are looking at these lines in the opening. Even though you play, so like I'm saying, even though you played a certain line, you could consider something else. Maybe whilst you were playing the opening, you were kind of conflicted. Should I have played this move? What happens if I play this move? Check it out in the analysis. Don't just discredit it, right? Check it out. Try and figure out why it's good or why it's bad. Why is pawn push here good or why is pawn push here bad? And work it out from there. Right, so we've looked at this and we've said e5 is a possible continuation. Now I know I haven't turned on the engine yet, and there's a reason for that, because the engine, we've become too reliant on the engine. If you want to become better at analysis, you need to turn off the engine, because you can't turn on the engine when playing in a game, right? So that's kind of what we want to do here. Aha. Okay, so I remember this position. So here I saw this in before I played knight to f3. I saw this. So there are two lines I considered here. I considered e5 here, and then I considered knight g to e2 here, because the whole point is I want to defend this pawn, but if I play this move, my opponent can pin me. So by playing here, if my opponent tries this, I can easily stop it and I'm still defending. This move is probably something that you have to be concerned about, but maybe not too much, or maybe not so much. Takes, and you go back. It's plausible. With this move, you could probably hide in here or something like that, but this bishop would have to run away at some point, right? So I considered this move, but again, how would I continue my development? Let's say, for argument's sake, this is not even a good move. Okay, let's even do this move. Takes, queen takes, knight takes. Actually this doesn't look too bad. Maybe I'm hallucinating, but it doesn't look too bad. Bishop back, we are castling queenside. It doesn't look too bad. Let me look at this again. Something had got to give here. What I didn't like about this position in particular was the fact that if I played g3, sorry, I wasn't sure how the game would continue if I played g. Right, that's kind of like, so I did consider knight g to e2. I did consider knight to f3, and I did realize that my opponent could pin my knight. And my continuation, which I looked at, was this: bishop back. I mean, it's okay, but I didn't like the whole concept of me bringing my bishop back. I felt like this was a slow move. I get the point of this. If my opponent does take, moving the defender, my bishop comes back to take over. Now, if this trade happened, I was a little bit confident, because if my opponent does castle kingside, I felt I could like push on his king side, but obviously he's going to castle queenside, right? Maybe this is a bad move for my opponent, but yeah. That was actually a mistake. Yeah, so something like this, and I think my opponent would castle queenside, and this bishop might be a long-term issue for me. Okay. So that is why I played this. I don't know, again, so I want to figure out if this would actually be better. So let's say I played this move. Let's see, I played this move. What would my opponent respond? I just feel like this is the best response from my opponent. And yeah, we still get into this position. And if pawn takes, knight takes. No, I don't think black would want to take. The way the position looks, I don't think black would want to take. I think black would want to hold the position. Maybe we get something like knight here. Takes. Again, this is not a problem. You can jump your knight into this square, or you can jump your knight into this square. Yeah, castles there doesn't stress me out. We castle this way ourselves. Yeah, I think this is completely fine for black, not for white. Like, I think black becomes more active, or black has gained equality, or like this game is not like, you are not really pushing for an aggressive play. Like the whole thing is this. Let me show you what this opening aims to do. Let's say my opponents, I mean, they do some play this, but they do play this. Let's say I trying to figure out, like, okay, here. No, some go this way. Then we have this move, castles, a bishop here. I'm trying to give you an idea of what this opening does. Knight here, castles queenside. Some play e4 here. Some develop the bishop here before playing e4. Then we have h4. I'm just showing you what this opening aims to do. We have h5. Now, if they take here, you are completely fine, because you have this, and then that's checkmate. So the other thing that you also aim to do is to, for example, push, and after takes, you have bishop takes, king takes, queen comes in check, king goes back, checkmate. That's the basic plan. Now, it doesn't always happen like this. Your opponent has ways of like frustrating you and making it difficult for you to get this, but you get the point, right? You get a point of the opening. So it seems like a lot of the stuff my opponent is doing is trying to prevent me from getting that, right? So bishop to e3. So you can still see me try to play to what my opening is doing, though sometimes that's wrong. Like, if your opponent is stopping your idea, you want to like switch plans. So I think one of the things I'll try and look at is what alternate plan exists if your opponent succeeds to stop your plan, or how can I still make my plan work regardless of what my opponent is doing. Maybe somewhere down the line I should have played like bishop here early on, or something like that, to prevent this whole pin maneuver. Sometimes what prevents the whole pin maneuver is that some of them don't play d6, some of them play e6. And once you see e6, you know for a fact that they are not going to be able to stop you, right? Sorry, g6, yeah. I know that kind of stuff. Okay. We don't need this. I'm looking at what we don't need. Okay. Yeah, this I mentioned is bad because of ticks. Let's go. So yeah, I moved back. Okay, we can briefly look at what we've already considered so far, right? For example, like knight f2. No, this is the line I made. This is the idea. So we can look at e5. I mean, if you've analyzed it yourself, you can look at the specific points one by one, just to confirm what is going on, and so that you don't forget what you were calculating. So here we looked at e5, and the range is already saying minus 0.3. Now this doesn't mean that this move is losing or that this move is bad. That's what you are likely to think. It may be anti-positional, which I would agree with. Like I already said, I don't like this move, but minus 0.3 doesn't mean that all of a sudden this position is losing or that this move is completely bad. It may be inaccurate, it may let things slide, but I don't think you consider this like a mistake, right? So takes, and we see the exact same thing. Queen takes d1, rook takes d1, and then bishop to g4, targeting the rook. Like, you could move, you could do other stuff, but you see how the game is going to take its form from here. There are some possible pros and cons. Wait, but why would we do this when we could take? Oh, I've already seen the knight b5. I should have turned off the engine to calculate that. But normally if the engine doesn't recommend something, you're always wondering, you can play it out and figure it out. Like, why not this? Like, why play this when you can just take the pawn? Let's switch the order. I think the order the order does not change anything, right? Yeah, okay, the order does change something. Because takes. Now this doesn't really stress out your opponent. The rook can move, or king can defend. What? King to f8? That's a strange move. And the engine still considers black better with this. So many lines, yeah. So many lines. 3, welcome. I'm doing the thing most chess players don't like doing, but this is how you improve in chess. Like, if you really analyze a game, you can spend like an hour on analyzing one game. That's why you normally hear some chess players saying that, oh, play 1 or 2 games and then analyze them. You might be like, 2 games is too small. Yeah, two games. Analyzing 2 games in depth, like properly, in order to improve, is no small feat. Now I'm not understanding all this, because okay, yeah, I get this, but oh wait, can our opponent? No, he can't lock us, because I'm looking at this. King hides in here, and then we can eventually take here. This, I'm not getting the engine here. Okay, what I'm thinking is the development of black seems to go like very fast. I don't see anything beyond. Like, I would take this position, I would take white in this position, but maybe it's because I'm not fully educated. But like, this looks problematic for black, for black here. This 100% looks problematic for black, so I don't see, right? Oh wait, no. Oh, okay, I see it. Okay, so white, okay, even though I still agree that's problematic for black, white is actually now, I thought white has gained a pawn until I just briefly counted the pawns. Yeah, it's okay. So white has spent so much time and resources in order to win back a pawn. So I think that's why the engine is like kind of averse to this. But again, I'll still pick white here. I don't know what exactly the engine is looking at in this position. I don't think knight here, like, okay, so okay. Okay. Okay, I'm finding difficulty knowing where. Okay, let's develop our bishop here. If our opponent, okay, knight c6, we trade off for sure. King takes. Okay, now we don't have this move, but we still have this move, so it's not a problem. So I think you want to play knight to b5 first to prevent. Because I think if you play something like knight here, you give your opponent a chance to play something like this. Oh, sorry, no, that is hanging. Sorry, takes. You give your opponent a chance to play this. And now your knight may struggle. But you can see, notice something here. The engine was saying minus 0.3, but it always seems to end up being an equal game. And it's understandable why the engine thinks this position is equal, because the pawns are equal, though it's not symmetrical. Now, you do need end game technique to win this, but this is a drawish looking game with some potential. So if, let's say, you understand these positions better than your opponent, playing this line may be beneficial to you. I don't know if you get that whole point, right? So once again, I want to highlight something. Here the engine says plus 0.5 and we played e5. Like, we are contemplating if e5 is a good move. The fact that the engine went from plus 0.4 to minus 0.3 does not then mean that this move is bad. That's what I'm trying to highlight here. And we've gone throughout the entire line, and what did we realize? It's not that big of a deal. It's basically an even game. So you don't just say that, oh, because the engine went down, then all of a sudden this is a bad move. It's anti-positional. White does have to spend time winning that pawn, but it's an imbalanced end game with so much to go for that you could possibly outplay your opponent in that kind of position, right? So someone like me, I like playing things that the engine doesn't like. I like playing lines that, now there's a line that I play that you rarely see me play these days. It's when you're playing as black, right? Your opponent plays d4, you play d5, they play queen's gambit. I love the Albin's counter gambits. I love this. I do love this opening. I love the obscure lines. I love the lines that the engine is always going. Like, for example, Scandinavian. If you look at the Scandinavian based on the engine, you may never play the Scandinavian, right? It's so much highly rates white here. I think these days the engines have changed, because in the past you used to get like plus 0.9, right? So I like to play these obscure lines because they are fun, right? So don't just throw away a move because the engine's number goes down. Again, from 0 to plus 1 is basically even. It's basically even. It all depends on one. Like, the plus 1 depends on 1. Can you see as far as the engine, and can you play exactly what the engine is going to play? If you can't, then this number is variable. Of course, there are some times where it's clear, but if you can't see the moves exactly like an engine can see, then you might as well call this 0.0. You can even call a plus 7 position 0.0 because it's a human effort, like human beings have to. I saw Wesley So playing against someone some years ago. It was a chess.com event, and Wesley, it was a positional position. When I say positional position, there are pieces on the board, nobody is up main material, but Wesley Stowe was winning, right? He had a plus 5 or a plus 7 advantage, but he ended up drawing that game. So unless you can see things like the engine, if this number is not what you see here, that's why I can say plus 1 is basically 0, right? So let's continue. I've emphasized too much on that. So so I've explained why we did this move. We've looked at other things. So here, engine doesn't like this move. I think now, okay, it's not because of e5. I was thinking that maybe now we can play e5, but again, with this rook here, I don't think e5 is something we want to play. Let me turn this off. Sorry, I'm getting engine pilled here. So bishop to e2. Now the reason I play bishop to e2, always explain your moves to yourself. Try and find, like, don't make them. Anytime you make a move and you don't have a reason why you're making a move, then there's a problem there. anytime you make a move in chess, you need to have a reason. Even if it's a bad reason, you need to have a reason why you are making that move. So I'm making this move, first of all, to break the pin and to not capture this way if I can. If I can prevent myself from capturing this way, probably I would be okay with it, because I'm not so convinced that if I capture this way, my opponent is going to capture castle kingside. Like, it's not so clear that if I do this, my opponent will castle kingside, right? He could as well just go this way and castle here, right? So that is what I'm looking at. So I'm thinking, okay, maybe I'll take this way. If my opponent decides to go queenside, then I can just open things up against my opponent on his queenside. That is the reasoning behind it. I didn't just make a move because I was told to develop a piece. There's a reason, because why not here? Or why not here? Or why not here, right? You should have a reason why not a specific move, right? Obviously, this is bad because you block the queen's defense of this square, but you get the point. Why are you making this move and not the other plausible moves? And in your analysis, even if this move, let's say, was good, you need to figure out which would have been better and why. Guys, we are 46 minutes into the analysis and we are only on move 6. That is how annoying analysis is, but it will help you a lot. It will help you a lot because you begin to understand the position, you begin to know what's going on, you begin to see different positions and different possibilities that can happen on the board, and you can play into those possibilities. Like, let's say you play against an opponent, you know, like some players have weaknesses, especially at our rating level, right? You know that this guy struggles with these kinds of positions. You play the opening into that line and you get your opponent there. There was a point in Ghana chess where most of my opponents knew that I didn't know the end game, so they would play these forcing lines where we'd have to trade into an end game and I would lose in the end game, right? So I also started finding lines where it would be difficult for them to trade straight into an end game or those kinds of things, right? So you notice these things and you work towards them. I know, play the ball, not the man, but sometimes you play the man, right? Because if your opponent is not comfortable in a position, I think the best option is to play into that position. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. I'll look at a few games, and if okay, what I'll do is, if you also want me to analyze your game, normally if you're on Twitch, you have to use points, but today I'll make an exception. If you have a game that you played that you would like me to analyze for you, you can put it in the chat. I'll get to it in due time, and I would like it to be a dialogue. Okay, so let's continue. Bishop to e2, and then my opponent plays e5. And here I was thinking, because we already highlighted that e5 has always been what my opponent wants to do. I think maybe the reason why the engine is adverse to knight is also because it blocks off the bishop's defense of the e5 square, especially in the position that we had. Maybe not. Maybe if I prefer that he plays this here, and then after we do whatever we have to do, then the knight comes in, because now this, maybe, I don't know. We'll figure it out later. Okay, so that's not what happened. So I played the bishop, my opponent played e5, and here I played d5. My reasoning is, after takes, rook takes, my ideal plan was to castle queenside, and I didn't want to give my opponent the chance to develop his rook. I think my reasoning here is just bad, because my opponent can't infiltrate with his rook. He can castle here for sure, he can attempt to double for sure, but he can't do anything. That's one of the things. The second thing is I still wanted to go for my idea, right? This move does kind of like two things, I would say. It kind of discourages, in my opinion, it kind of discourages your opponent from wanting to go queenside, like wanting to castle queenside. So I wanted to still kind of goad my opponent into castling kingside, so that I can still go for my plan. I mentioned what this plan was at the beginning of the stream, or at the beginning of the analysis. So I still kind of wanted to go for this plan, which is why I don't want to open up the position. But probably it's not a good idea. It's probably not a good idea to do this, but we can figure that out a little bit later. Because here, I think you go knight takes. This is my good bishop versus my opponent's good knight, but I'd like to trade like my bad knight from my opponent's good knight, right? So takes, again, this is a blunder that people tend to make at the lower levels. But takes, I think pawn takes. Oh, and it gets tricky here. Okay, so if we play bishop takes, we have bishop takes, queen takes. Isn't this good for white? I'm confused. Why isn't this good for white? Like, this is a backward pawn, I agree, but let's say we castle queen side and we go like f4, e5. There would have to be a lot of concentration of defense on this square. Right, so okay, our opponent, no, we can push here. So let's bring queen first. Let's castle queen side ourselves, or castle king side. Castle king side. Castle king side, castle queen side, castle king side, castle queen side. Which one would be better? So what do you think? King side or queen side? I'll castle queen side. I'm looking at the potential of if my opponent ever castles queen side, I would go this way. But let's say my opponent castles king side. You guess king side. Okay, then we'll look at both. Because I think queen side. Maybe because of this, right? You give your opponent a chance to dodge the whole pressure. I don't know. Maybe. Because this is what I'm looking at. Takes. Knight jumps in here. Isn't this good for white? Or am I playing the line wrong? Let me go back. Okay. Let's go king side again. Let's play f4. Okay, so let's play the knight now. Hey, he made, what's up? Then pawn push. Now this just looks good for white. I'm sorry, I have to confirm this with the engine. Let me just confirm this with the engine. This position just looks good for white. Yeah, it's +2. I'm good. So let's look king side. Let's go king. So wait. Let's go king side. I think both are fine regardless. Like, I think both are fine. Let's go king side for both. Yeah, like this is just good for white. I don't think so. Okay, how so that means that with pawn push we don't want to come in this way. We capture with what knight takes first, right? And you don't want to capture with bishop. I'm 2000 on lichess. So pawn push, this might just be the only good move. This might be the only good move. And then I think if I wanted to continue here, I would go, let's say, castles. Okay, let's still go this way. We may still want to go queen side. Then we'd have takes, for example, takes. Then that doesn't work. Okay, maybe here with the idea of pushing f4, right? This is looking messy for black. I don't know. This is just looking messy for black. Nah, this is just looking messy for black. I don't know if I'm making myself look good in this position. But again, that's the reason why I didn't take. The reason I didn't take here is because I didn't want to, one, open the position for my opponent to trade off. This is not how it was going to go. Yeah, takes. Maybe there's a reason to pick one over the other, but for me, it looks like it's a matter of taste. I'm not good enough to evaluate if one of those objectives. I also don't think it's one of those. This is objectively better kind of position. The reason I just prefer queen side because it kind of gives you that whole, with that position, the queen side gives you the ability to develop the rook quickly. So regardless of whether your opponent castles king side or queen side, you have the ability to do the rook lift. Right, that's what I was kind of considering there. If I can do a rook lift, which will add to an attack on either side, I think I would pick that. But I think both of them were fine. I don't think that there was a objectively better one there. So I agree with you on that one. Yeah, so pawn push here. Let me. So does it mean that the engine rates this move bad? Not really. It prefers captures. Okay, because after captures what? Bishop to b5. Bishop to b5. Like, I'm looking at this. My opponent spoils my structure. Like, I'm looking at this. Fine, my opponent has 2. Yeah, 3. I want to know. I feel like I do different from everyone. How do you calculate pawn islands? Because I've seen people calculate pawn islands using the empty files, but I calculate pawn islands using the pawns themselves. So how do you calculate your pawn islands? Because I always want to know how, like, is it this? Do you use the empty files or do you use the pawns? Because I don't know exactly how people calculate pawn islands. I mean, islands should be uninhabited, so it should be the files. But I don't know. I feel like the isolated pawns should be the island because they are on their own, basically. That's how I see it. You have one more different way, but you disagree with that. Wait, so you disagree with me using the pawns? Okay, I've always been using the pawns to calculate the islands. That's how I've always calculated the islands. But I don't like this position. Though I think that the engine would pick white. The reason I don't like it is it looks messy. Again, this is me. I have a preference. It looks messy. Now it's nonsense. I'll be very objective here. It's nonsense to say that the position looks messy. You should play the good moves and learn to maneuver the positions that come out of it, right? So though yes, I do have a preference, I believe that it's much better to just learn the difficult positions you don't like and improve on them, because whatever you don't learn becomes your crutch, and whatever becomes your crutch, your opponents are always going to use it against you. So whatever you struggle with in chess, learn to play it. You don't like isolated pawns, learn to play isolated pawn positions. Just learn it, right? And once you master it, you do much better in your games than to say that, oh, I want to avoid them completely, which is something I say, but I know that it's not the right way to go. So yeah, you can play to your style, but in case your opponent goes anti your style, you should know how to maneuver those positions. So yeah, pawn island is defined, I think, with pawns able to guard each other. So if you move them, there's only one pawn not guarded by others, like targetable weaknesses. So you would consider this an island. This is a temporal island. For me, if there's a potential for it to be defended, I don't call it an island. That's how I see it. So I would never consider this pawn an island because it has the potential to be defended by the f pawn. Connotations. This is where connotations and everything come into play. So yeah, okay. D5. It prefers takes, but pushing forward is not bad. Like, it's equally good. Because of my PC, that's why I'm using just one line, but we can do 2 lines. I don't want my PC to go off. Yeah, but it thinks, yeah, D takes or D5, they are literally equal. D5, D takes, D5, they are both good. So I think here would be a matter of principle. Like this here, you could pick a matter of preference, right? Which position is much more understandable to me? Which position do I prefer? Since it's equal, again, you can learn to play both. There's no problem knowing both lines. Because, for example, if you're playing against somebody like Morris in Ghana, he likes studying your lines and then prepping against you. So if you know you're playing someone like that, you can just play a sideline and then they don't do that. Yeah. Black can easily move the knight, so it could be defended by the f pawn. Yeah. If white blocked the f pawn and black couldn't easily remove it, you would say that e5 is an island. It's understandable. Yeah, I understand it. It makes sense when you say that. But I don't know. Like I just feel like as long as even if it's being blocked, I would still consider it not an island. That's the way I still see. But I can understand where you are coming from, right? If we are taking it like strictly on what an island means, that is based on what you are saying, unable to be defended by another pawn, then it would make sense that you would say that the pawn here is an island. Yeah. But I always had the impression that it had to do with pawns on its side, right? So if there's an empty file next to it, then it wouldn't be considered an island, right? Anyways, so let's continue from here. So let's turn this off. Bro, don't overheat too. Okay. So let's continue. So yeah, so far everything we've done is okay. The only new line we kind of looked at is e5. Then we continue from there. So yeah, h3. Again, if my opponent takes, this is what I was thinking about. There were considerations of me playing this, because now the reason why I was so averse to playing like bishop takes, it's not because bishop takes is technically a bad move. Again, you are putting your bishop behind these pawns. You are putting your bishop behind a wall, and that's technically not considered good. But I didn't want to assume that my opponent was going to castle queenside. If my opponent was going to castle queenside, then this is the automatic idea I'm going to go for, because I'm targeting my opponent's queenside. But since I don't know where my opponent is going to go, I want to do something else. And one thing that you disagree with me, for example, if you have a pawn on d5 and e4, okay, d5 and e4. If I have a pawn on d5 and d5 and e4, and your opponent, if you have a pawn here and here, and your opponent has one on e5, I've seen those kinds of positions before, but that's great. Those two are 1 pawn island. If you have a pawn on d5, okay. I was looking at the perspective of this is black is moving forward. Okay, so you're talking about this exact same structure here, right? Similar to this, not this specific, but similar to this. Those two are 1 pawn island, okay? But if you moved the pawn to e6, since you can't move the e pawn easily, now there are 2 pawn islands. Interesting. Everyone you asked disagreed. Sorry if you move to d6. Sorry if you move to d6. Sorry. Yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah, I get what you're saying. Like d5, d6. Yeah, I get it. Okay, that's interesting. That's interesting. I would see it as hanging, but not an island. But I think, yeah, that definition, it completely makes perfect sense. I think it fits as well. So h3, again, back here, you just pin yourself, you just lock yourself, and then going here I felt was probably not the best move. Probably my opponent was doing this whole good bishop, bad bishop thing. But I think going back is not a good idea. I think going back is not a good idea for my opponent here. If I were playing as black, I would just take. For 2 reasons. Why? This is a closed position. Now, when the center is locked back with pawns, we consider that position a closed position. And in closed positions, technically, knights perform better than bishops. And now I'm noticing that this position kind of resembles a King's Indian defense. So the strategy I was mentioning, of course, it doesn't really work here because of the queen and the bishop, but like in the King's Indian defense, this is a viable plan that you go for. And I always mention this game. I always mention this game of Hikaru versus Wesley So, where Hikaru barraged Wesley So's king side, broke open the castle position, and checked the king all the way here to checkmate him. It's I think I've showed that game before. It's a very, very nice game. When I was learning the King's Indian defense, that's the first game I saw. It was so beautiful. He paraded the pawns, broke open the structure, used his knights to check his opponent's king, and the king marched all the way here and got checkmated. It's so funny when you see it. It's so nice. That was when Hikaru was a kid main. Anyways, I don't remember the year. I can't get that specific. I'm not like 3. So okay, so we do that. So that is why I personally would have kept, like, I get it. I get that, like, that is his good bishop because like his pawns are on dark squares and that's his good bishop. But I think looking at it here, the knight would have done much better than the bishop. So I think you should have gone for that. Again, you could go this way. You don't have to go h4 and you still go f4. Castle kingside and then go f4. It's something you can do, right? There's a principle in chess. He went even c8. C8 is even worse. Like this is even worse. This is even worse. No, let me just play h3. This is worse. Yeah, bishop c8. That's just worse. But I didn't want to spoil the move. Yeah, it's actually here. We'll look at it as well. I've put it here. We'll look at it as well. You didn't want to spoil the movie, yeah. So let's, yeah. So again, like I said, I was going for the game plan. Now every opening, one of the things you should realize is that every opening has a game plan, right? When you learn the Italian, it has a game plan. You know, sometimes people just memorize the moves. Don't memorize the moves. There's a reason why the pieces are being moved to certain squares. So it's important that when you are playing a game, you need to know what is the game plan. Right? When you know what the game plan is, you know exactly what your opponent is trying to do to stop your game plan. You know how to maneuver against when you know what the game plan is, you know how to, like, you know exactly what to aim for yourself, right? You're not just moving your pieces, you are moving your pieces in order to achieve a certain goal. But when you don't know what the game plan is and you just know the opening, you make the moves and then you are stuck, right? Then you also know what your opponent is trying to do and you try and counter it, and you also know how your opponent can stop your idea. So in the game plan you are playing, there's a way your opponent wins the game. So you need to know what that is and stop him. Then you also need to know how your opponent stops your ideas so that you can prevent him from stopping your ideas. So everything I've done so far has been in response to what my opponent was doing, and now I'm continuing with my idea, which I mentioned is a very okay. There are more new people here. Let me just go through the whole game plan for this opening, right? So d4, let's say knight f6 here. Some play d6. It's not all that good. g6, bishop, queen, bishop, queen. I'm not playing the exact correct moves here. No, I think it's no. Some play e6, but no. Let's go d6. Let's go b6. Let's go knight. Let's go knight. Let's go pawn push. Let's go g6. Let's go bishop. Let's go bishop. Let's go queen. And let's say our opponent castles here. The plan is to go here. Sometimes your opponent goes in here. You can castle queenside. I'm trying to make the idea work so you kind of get an understanding of what's going on here. You can push here, but I want to yeah, you can push here. This is also completely fine. But I want to, let's go bishop. Let's go like h4. I'm just trying to show you the idea. This is not the best way to explain it. Now, if your opponent takes knight here, you sacrifice the rook or exchange sacrifice and you are winning the game, right? That's one of the ideas. The other idea is let's say your opponent still plays something, whatever, you go takes, and if they take, you take, and if king takes, check, and then mate, right? Now at advanced levels, you don't get this checkmate. You get, what happens is that you get this position that is pressuring your opponent. They have to defend, they make mistakes, you take advantage of their weaknesses, and then you win from there. I don't get these checkmates anymore. Like when I started learning and I was at lower levels, I was getting this a lot, but now I don't get that. So that's the main idea. That's the idea that is going on in this game. And you can see, like, I was trying to go for it, but unlike what I showed you, my opponent plays this move, which poses a question to me about this pawn. So I retreat my bishop back, but my bishop is still within that line, right? Then my opponent plays the knight. I bring my bishop out. Sometimes you want your bishop here, which is fine. That, and also I'm breaking the pin. Then my opponent plays e5. I don't want to take, because if I open up the position, right? If I open up the position, we trade off the queens. And remember, the queen is vital for me to continue my attack, right? So I block the position. That is why I lock the position. I play h3, my opponent moves, and then I continue with my plan, right? I continue with my plan. Right now, it's very clear that my opponent can only castle kingside because of where he moved the bishop. My plan would have probably not worked so much if my opponent castled queenside. But then again, because of this d5 move, castling queenside may not be the best. I'm just quickly running through everything. And now, after knight jumps back, I go for my initial plan. Now, you could argue that I could have castled queenside first and waited for my opponent to castle before playing that move. But yeah, that is life. That is I'm like, I keep on forgetting that when I put on my engine, that's what happens. So yeah, that is basically it. And you can see exactly what I'm talking about. So I know what my game plan is, and I'm going for my game plan. My opponent plays f5. And I still go for my game plan. Here I want to calculate. I want to look at this a bit, because again, I need my queen and my bishop connected here. I just didn't like this move. I didn't like allowing this move. Maybe I'm fine. I don't know. I didn't like the thought of allowing this move. That was my issue. And now the position is looking a little bit loose. I think I still think it's probably fine for white. It just doesn't look appealing in my eyes. It just doesn't look appealing. Like, for example, my opponent can play this to start off. Let's say I castle. Then we are looking at like moves. I don't know if this move is possible now, but we're looking at the knight jumping in. The bishop is now opened, and maybe he's gaining some footing back. I for the life of me can't tell. But I don't. It just feels like my opponent is just gaining ground. Again, this is not a problem for h6. Is not a problem for my opponent. So that's kind of why I continued here. Because I can go takes, and after king takes, then I can play pawn takes. That was what I was looking at. And I felt like somewhere down the line, I could play g3. And if my opponent captured, then I have this. So let's say I played g3 here. My opponent takes without watching. Same plan. Don't forget, it's the plan. The plan is the plan. Right? The plan doesn't change. Unless, of course, your opponent forces you to change the plan. But here my opponent could go this way. Here maybe I'm tweaking a bit, but the point, your opponent doesn't stress you out here. You are targeting nothing. Actually, that's not good. Wait, that's actually not good. Okay, so we go check. If our opponent comes in here, we take. There's check here, but our opponent just goes back here. That's kind of like what's confusing me. So wait, okay, so let me just figure it out. Let's say if my opponent captured, what do? I come in here with check for sure. What's the proper continuation? King comes in here. Because check, my opponent just comes back here. Here, sorry. Like, knight here doesn't help me. This guy stops that. Oh, is it this way? No, because this happens, because this is not possible. This is not possible. He even has this. Oh no, he doesn't have that. Sorry, my knight defense. Sorry. Castle and double up on the H file. Yeah, I see that, but like, so for example, I play this. My opponent comes in here. Let's see. Okay, let's say I even ignore it and I castle. My opponent has this move. Check. He comes in here. The same issue, right? It's like I see this idea, but like I don't know. Okay, let's say takes, queen takes, then we jump in here. Oh no, that's dumb. Oh, okay. So queen takes. Okay. Yeah, king takes. So I just realized. If takes here, then you have takes with check. Yeah. So okay. So maybe we just go for that plan. I thought my opponent can stop it with this move, which is why I was a little bit hesitant. Yeah, but then you take. And if king takes, you play rook first. King steps in. I have an interesting line. I don't know if it works. Takes, pawn push. And if pawn takes, you jump in with your knight. But the knight takes, he loses the queen. That's an interesting line. So if knight comes in here, what would our opponent do? I don't know. Yeah, like black has the zero development. Yeah, the issue was just trying to figure out how I would continue the position. I just wasn't so sure. At the point, I was getting confused. Yeah, but you're right. Trying to double up here would definitely help out. Yeah. So exactly. So basically, that's what. Rudias. No, not Rudias. I was thinking about Rudius from the Bushoku Tensei. So yeah. So just in case as well, when you are analyzing, you want to find out like how you would continue an attack if it did occur, right? So here we see that there's a way out here. So my opponent may definitely not want to take in this position. Maybe you can try something else here, like in this position, play this. But again, this is no stress. You just castle queenside and you're fine. But what happened in the game was, okay, I did castle queenside first. My opponent brought his rook in. I jumped in with my knight because this is a fork, winning the queen. My opponent opened up his knight. I played g3. My opponent played bishop. And here I made a big mistake. I acknowledge that when I played this game. I could have simply played bishop takes, because after knight takes, then we get the fork again. I'm 2000. I am 2000. I mostly fluctuate from 2000 to 1900, but I am 2000. I think I got back up to 2000 yesterday or something like that. Yeah. So nice. That's it. That is it. So that's one game, right? That's one game. And we spent what? Almost an hour and a half on one game. So this is what like analysis does. So with this game, I took my time. I explained everything you have to go through. Keep it up. Hey, thanks. I do appreciate it. So this is what you have to go through. You literally have to become a doctor and diagnose your positions if you want to become better in chess. It's annoying. It's a long process. It's boring. It makes you think too much. But this is, sincerely speaking, this is how you get better at chess. There's no quick method, because the more you know positions and the more you understand chess positions, the better decisions you make and the more likely you are to win those positions. So if you don't put in the effort to know the positions, understand the positions, and play the positions, you are always going to be losing and asking yourself, why am I losing? You know, we always tell beginners, trade equally. You get to a point in chess, you realize that the fact that you traded 3 for 3 doesn't mean that you traded equally. That may be a bad trade. So there are other things you look at. In this position, what pieces are useful and what pieces are not. So for example, in the landing system, right? If you play the landing system, right? Let's do this, right? And yeah, for example, this is like not in this scenario per se, but like something like this. Let's do this. Let's do e6, something like this, right? You traded 3 for 3, but the engine is going to be like, this is a bad trade. Why? In the landing system, this is your key attacking piece. This piece sort of like holds your game together. So losing this piece means that you lose majority of your offensive potential in the game. That's one thing about losing this, right? The second thing is, this is your good bishop. Good bishop is known by the color pawns of your opponent, right? But color pawns of the color square of your pawns. If your pawns are on dark squares, then this is your bad bishop, but this is your good bishop. Now this is your bad bishop because it supposedly can't move around a lot because it's blocked by the pawns. But here the bishop is outside the pawn chain, so even though it's bad, it's kind of good, right? So that's the second thing. The second thing is that you're trading your good bishop for your opponent's bad bishop. So even though you made a trade of 3-3, it's not equal. Actually, black made a better trade. You get it? So you have to do that. What has really helped me is going through the game without analysis first for a while, and then only that is exactly it. I also mentioned that. Use your brain. Use your brain. Like I've trained a lot of students who, when you finally introduce them to the engine, because when I start training my kids, I don't want them to know even that there's something called an engine. Like I don't even mention that. But the moment you show them what an engine is, then they start doing this nonsense of, I made this move, oh, then I make this move, oh, 0.4, no, 0.4 is not good, oh, what else is there, oh, okay, this is not good, hey, then they start doing this nonsense of, if the number goes down, then it means I played a bad move. I hate that. I hate that. So that's why I made a video about talking about using the engine, and I mentioned that 0 to 1 or 1.5, I consider that an equal position. I consider that an equal position. So 100% you want to analyze without the engine first before you turn on the engine. So I think we want to be the studio. When I was starting out in chess, I used to draw. Here's how my whole drawings. I used to draw. But anyways, before I get to my whole drawings here, this is me, right? This is me when I used to use the Chess Master Grandmaster app. I would play the game on the app, on the software. I would put my own annotation. Like when I'm done, I would put my own annotations. I would put my thought processes. This is all me analyzing on my own, and then I would turn on the engine. So I would then diagnose my key areas where I thought there was an issue or where I thought I made a mistake. I would analyze these first, then I would look at the game as a whole. That was basically what I was doing. So if you're not doing these things, you would struggle to improve. I do not understand why they're not. The wealth of knowledge of strong players will astound you, right? So just to, like, I no longer dress anymore. I no longer draw anymore. I have so many uncompleted drawings from when I was. This is bad. I won't show this one. This was one of my. Some of my drawings are bad. This is just a commercial break. The good ones are coming. Don't worry. The good ones are coming. Don't worry. I was learning the hiragana at the same time, but I've stopped. Ever since I left my anime craze, I stopped. Wait, what? Where are the good ones? They're not here? That's the ones that come in. They're like, bro, where? Is it this? Whoa, bro. I was suffering with this. These are books from my senior high. If you really read manhua with the U, the Chinese, you notice some of the characters I'm drawing. Some of them are my own, some of them are from manhua. If you know Long Hao, you know that character. Boom. And the one I'm most proud of, no, not this. Not this. This. Oh my goodness, I never finished it. This was sick for me. This was very sick for me. Anyways, this is a chess stream. Anyways. Oh, I mistakenly turned off my fan. Let me turn it on. Otherwise, my PC overheats. Sorry about that. I saw my drawings and I was like, nah, let me show them. Let me show them off. Maybe I'll take pictures of them and put them on Instagram or something. Anyways, let's continue. So that's it for game 1. So game 2, I'm not going to talk much. I'm just going to analyze the game. These are games I played yesterday, but I wanted to teach you guys how to analyze before I just analyze them on my own. So like I said, 1 win, 1 loss, 1 win, 1 loss. This is one of the games I lost, and it was a Jubava London. And it was a Jubava London with 2K at chess and drawing. Bro has unlimited time. No. I don't know. I don't draw anymore. Unfortunately. Right now, my drawing skills have died. I've not drawn in almost. I finished university in 2019. I haven't drawn in almost. 2026. I stopped drawing 2018. Yeah, because I stopped watching anime and all that stuff in 2018. So that will be 8 years, right? Yeah, it's been 8 years since I last drew. So yeah, so I was going for this. Now again, let me show you the idea. Now if your opponent plays bishop here, there's a very interesting plan that you can go for. Now the tricky way to go about this, in case your opponent doesn't have any idea what is going on, is to go h4. Let's see, this a4, because there's a trick. I'll show you that trick later on. Because of this, right? This is the trap. This is the trick why you do it. But I sort of feel like it's a wasted move. I don't like initiating it that way. I often like going this way. Some still play c4. You go this way, they go this way. You come in this way, depending on who you are facing. Boom, boom. Actually, if they do that, that's wrong. But some of them just take and then you take this way. But the point, I don't know if I'm playing it the way I expected. Or see, okay, let's see. Let's say knight. Let's see, pawn. Aha, then we play like this. Some play this, some play this, right? But regardless of what they play, you come in this way. Now, if they don't do anything and they play something like, let's say, bishop, this is a very nice line for you, right? If they trade, you can still go queen takes, and you have a very aggressive line coming up. So this is the idea. There's a common trick here that some people fall for. Let's say you develop your bishop here and they play this. You play, let's say for example, you play knight here and then they go this. Actually, it does this with the bishop out, it doesn't work. Let me do it without the bishop. Like, let's go back. Let's go e6. Let's go knight c3. Let's go c4. Let's go here, and then they go this way. This is a blunder, right? The engine will be like 0.5 or something, but it's like oh, it says +2 here. Yeah, when you are playing it in certain lines, it's +0.2, and this is a very interesting line. You are threatening the fork. They play this. There are two ways to respond here. Bishop takes, which sounds strange. Like, why am I playing bishop? Why don't I play knight? When the knight goes back, then I play pawn push and then keep it up. I know that whole line. But then you take here. They take, you take. They come in here attacking it. Then you go queen takes. They go takes, and then you jump in check. They move. You come in this way. This is the basic like stuff, right? Okay. So, mind you, this is the idea that I'm going for. So, I go for f3. So you see it immediately. I go for f3, and my opponent plays this move. So I contemplated playing this move and still going for pawn push. Maybe that's completely fine. Maybe I should have just done that. What was I afraid of concerning this move? What was I afraid of? What was I afraid of? Because honestly, I don't see a reason why I wouldn't play this. Oh, okay. I think this may be a problem. Nah, because if you take this way, bishop back. I think my issue was I did not. Yeah, I literally 100% could have played this move. Now in this position, I know it looks funny, but this is actually a very good move. The king is actually quite safe there. These two pawns block the diagonal, so your opponent can't easily take advantage of you here. So I often do find myself playing this move. Sometimes I do castle queenside, but this is completely fine. I know I'm going to turn on the engine, and the engine is going to be like, what do you mean this is fine? This is bad. You know, but maybe it's fine. So I played this, and I was kind of worried of this because now, like, if you look at the position, it looks very uncomfortable for white. It looks very uncomfortable for white. The threat is to go check and win this pawn. So your opponent would play this. I don't think it's a good idea to continue attacking here. Like, maybe just count your losses and then castle this way, and then try and go for e4. Maybe that's what you do here. But like after this, like, what does the engine think about this move? Yeah, 92 is actually not bad at all. 92 is not bad at all. What's my opponent's continuation? Knight h5. Okay, so I played all these moves. Yeah, it's not a problem. King f2 is a Chad move. Yeah, there are openings I play where you always, I always like playing these funny openings. E4, sorry, e6, c4, knight f3, knight c6, knight here. This is what is called the black lion or the anti-Philidors. Here. Knight jumps in, c6, castles kingside here. I don't remember the lines fully, just excuse me if I don't remember the lines fully. Bishop here. There's a trick with the bishop here, I don't remember. Here I'm trying to remember the lines. Give me a second. Here I'm just still trying to remember the lines. Here still trying to remember the lines. And the move to keep your king safe from all harm in this position. Just go and watch Ginger GM's video. You just laugh. I don't play this anymore. I don't play it. I don't often like playing it because this is I started learning to play this when I wanted to play aggressive chess. And this is a very aggressive opening. You have g4 coming in. You can even sacrifice your bishop in some of the lines. Like, it's a very interesting position, right? Okay, let's go back. It's called the anti-Philidors or the black lion. Yeah, so let me flip back. Yeah. So the what I would say is good for me is my opponent made my position not so bad. Because I was afraid. I was not afraid. I just didn't like the idea of my opponent spoiling my pawn structure, right? So my opponent giving this to me, this I would consider bad for my opponent. I think he should have dealt with this. But I think also maybe he was afraid of pawn takes, because that kind of strengthens my idea of pushing forward. And since my knight is also here, it defends it. So maybe he was kind of worried about that. Then there's also maybe the additional idea of bringing my rook to this open file, and you can see there's this future pressure that could come up to my opponent. So maybe that's why he didn't go for that. But I felt very happy when my opponent like played in that manner. G4. Oh, he did take. Okay. Benfango would be mad at that one. Yeah, Benfango and I don't mix. I play everything he hates. Okay, apart from F3 or F4. Those are the only moves that he hates that I don't play. That's interesting. So why did I give up on taking here? Why would I give up on taking? Because if takes here again. You always want to prevent E5. It's almost impossible for an opponent to play E5. Like you play this. Here maybe? Or just here? Because this doesn't work. Takes. Oh, actually it does work. So, okay, wait, so in view of this, you might want to go this way. Takes. Knight takes, rook takes, bishop takes here. I hate two kinds of openings. Openings intolerant of other openings, and then the Dutch. I also hate the Dutch, especially I hate the Christmas tree variation. I hate the Christmas tree variation. You think he was quoting someone? I'm guessing that means he hates whoever he was quoting hates the London, because the London is intolerant of other openings. I think intolerant means that like they can play what they want regardless of what the other person plays. I think that's what he means by that. There's no comfortable position. There's no comfortable position. That's sometimes why you shy away from some of these things. But yeah, it's fine. Wait, sorry, let me make that move again. I think it's just good. Yeah, it's fine. My 0.3 is basically a draw. Don't fret, don't be afraid when you see the number go down like that. It's fine. You can still win. This is still a game that can be won. Oh yeah, I like his unapologetic nature to certain things. He doesn't play the nice guy card all the time. Does he even ever play the nice guy card? I've never seen him play the nice guy card. Like he's blunt to a fault. So I just want to see something. So okay, so here we go. Knight E2. I don't like Queen D2. Personally, I don't like Queen D2. So this is a possibility. So my opponent plays Knight H5. And then what? Bishop to E5. Doesn't that still allow this? Bishop to G3. Takes, and then you take with it. But why though? You can still play king to F2 here. I think it's still possible. Hey Lagan, you're back. Welcome. Joke's supposed to be the neutrality of the Dutch nation. Oh, interesting. Okay, I am not well versed in like political issues or like things happening around the world. Like the top news I may share, but I didn't know that the Dutch are intolerant. I did not know that. Only in real life, online he's a savage. Oh, okay. Maybe one day I'll meet him. Or I mean that may be his opinion. I've not met a Dutch in my entire life. I'm in Ghana, so, and I haven't traveled yet, so I don't know. I've not met a Dutch in my entire life, so that's purely subjective. They are not okay. Yeah, so that's purely subjective. Why King F2? Why lose castling rights? So, Lagan, you always have to answer this question. Why do you castle? That's the question you always have to answer. Why are we told to castle in chess? Do you remember why we are told to castle? I want to dialogue it with you. Why do you castle in chess? Whoa, Master Chess Dojo. It's good to see you again. Good to see you again. Good to see you again. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Always appreciate you. Always appreciate you. Hey, thanks. When do you stream? Because I don't seem to see you stream, so I'm not able to join. I'd like to join and then like have a discussion with you. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Exactly, cast it for no. That don't ignore three. Lagan, you don't usually castle. No problem. The question is why do you castle? That's the question. Dark Blade, hey everyone, welcome. Thank you guys so much. I hope you enjoyed Master Dojo's stream. I'm basically doing a lesson on how to analyze your games. We did a very deep dive in the first game. We're on the second game. Yeah. I don't. Why is everybody talking like three? Why is everybody talking like three? I don't waste. I don't. It's a waste of my move when I'm trying to cook my opponent's side. That's completely fine. That is completely fine. Look, there's no problem saying that you don't want to castle because you want to attack your opponent's side. But the question I'm asking, why do we castle? Oh boy. Okay, you'll be right, but no problem. But when do you stream? If you could just let me know so I can note. Kind of makes sense. Step it out to the diagonal. Yeah. You're answering the question of why King F2 is okay, but okay, Lagan maybe Lagan isn't getting it, but the point of castling is to protect our king. That is it. Sometimes our king doesn't need protecting. I completely agree. But if the point of castling is to protect your king, then ask yourself: is my king safe on F2? Is my king safe on F2? If my king is safe on F2, then I have achieved the goal of castling without castling. So the whole point of castling is king safety. If moving my king here makes my king safe, I have achieved the same purpose. That's the point. So sometimes when you are aggressing, you may not castle your king, but your opponent cannot attack your king. In that case, there's no need to castle, right? Castling is a good thing, and there's a reason for which castling is done. So if you can put your king in a position, or your king is in a position where he doesn't need to castle, then, for example, as always, I'm about to lose a lot of viewers because I'm about to mention the six letter word which every chess player hates. But when you are playing the London system, right, right, there's this interesting thing when your opponent plays bishop to e7. When your opponent plays bishop to e7, right? When your opponent plays bishop to e7 and this, you don't have to castle immediately. You can take your time. Wait, what? You can't even think of moves like this at my level. Don't worry, it takes time. You will get there every day, but Wednesday at 200 hours at this time. Okay. So I'm not streaming tomorrow, so I'll drop by. 6 a.m. ish NYC time. 6 a.m. that's 5 hours 11. Okay, nice. Yeah. So if your opponent plays this move, there's no need to castle in this position, right? If they play this, you can play this. If they play knight here, they can play it. But the point is this: in the London system, your opponent is trying to push e5, and so are you. And the issue that makes this work the more is when they have a rook here. So if they have a rook on the same file as your king, you would want to castle, right? You would want to castle so that after the exchange happens, your king is not in trouble. But here, his bishop impedes the activity of the rook. So now you can choose not to castle and immediately go this move. That is it. So the point is my king safe? That's the reason. Sorry, that's the reason why we castle. Is my king safe? That's the point of castling. So if you can get your king safe without castling, there's no need to castle. And sometimes castling in a position where you are supposed to be active may be detrimental. All right. Just to highlight another move that we made the last time. Boom, this is what I'm talking about, right? This is an aggressive position. You need this rook here. Like, this rook is very good in this position. You're about to open things up, and this rook is going to be very useful here. If you are to castle, which is a safe move here, you lose that activity of the rook. So in this not in, I didn't play the exact move order correctly, but in a position like this of the anti-philidors, of the king, or of the black lion, king f8 is a very safe move because your opponent can't do anything to you. Your opponent can't attack you. At my level, you always try to break open in the center and take out the queen and long castle. You like long castling. I understand why you like long castling, but over time you realize that it's not. Dark Blade, thanks for the follow. Much appreciated. Don't think about levels, think about move. Yeah, think about, yeah, exactly. So that's the point of when you analyze. You see something that you're not comfortable with, but you just try and like work it out. Bob, thank you for the follow as well. Why is my alert so high up? Like, what the hell is going on? What is going on with my alerts? Give me a second. What? That's like the funniest thing I've ever. Okay, let me do this as well. That is actually very funny. Why isn't it move? Yeah. So that's basically it. So Lagan, the thing is, when you begin to understand the rules of chess, then you can break the rules of chess. Right? You understand what is going on in the chess position, and you make the best moves that solve it. Now, the only way you learn this is, the many ways you learn this is by reading chess books, by analyzing your games, by watching like highly skilled chess players explain their moves. So for example, I grew up like I was a child. I learned chess by watching John Bartholomew, right? And as he talks, I hear what he says and I'm like, oh, okay. Lagan, thanks for the follow as well. Wait, you're following me on Twitch as well. Hey, thanks. So as he says things, I understand them. So like I used to think that double pawns are bad until he explained situations where double pawns are good and how double pawns can defend themselves, which is how I fell in love with which is how I fell in love with this variation of the London system. I'm sure you guys who don't know this channel already can tell that I'm a London system player, right? I fell in love with this. I started liking this. At first I used to abhor this. I used to think this was bad. I used to think that this was not good. But then I saw like what it does and I'm like, nah, this is a very strong thing. So learn the positions, like play the positions you're uncomfortable with, the things you find difficult, the things you don't understand, and all those kind of things. Hi, how are you? Cool. I don't know if I'm cool, but if you think I'm cool, I'll take it. I'm the nerdiest guy you'll ever find. When I was in school, we had this graph board next to the blackboard. Oh no, he doesn't think I'm cool. Hi, how are you? Cool. I'm cool. Yeah. Oh boy. Yeah, so basically we're just doing analysis. Yeah. So wait, where did we get to in this whole position? Yeah, we got here. You play c5 after the bishop comes out. No, it is. The refutation to the London system is to play c5, right? Now this is a bad move in this position because you're entering the Benoni Benko as black and it's considered good for white. But if your opponent does play the bishop and you go c5, it's a good move. Like here, say here, pawn push. This is good for you. This is very good. One, because you kind of speed run an idea where you kind of attack your opponent. For example, you go knight here, putting pressure on this pawn. Knight here, putting pressure on this pawn. If your opponent takes, you take control over the center. Eventually, you win this pawn back. It's not a problem. And then also, you open. Some people may play this. You open yourself to this queen side idea, and this is very good for black. So best refutation to London I've ever seen is bishop f4 pre-moved. Like you're talking about the classic blunder. Yeah, so d4 e5 bishop f4 pre-move. Yeah. I don't think I fall for that anymore. Yeah, c5 is the refutation, but you need to understand why. Some people hear something and they're like, oh, this is the refutation, and then they end it there. Why is it a refutation? What follows? That's how you know why it's a refutation. Okay, so it's knowing the why. Yeah. No, c5 is very good. I myself played against the landing. But what I've realized because of the recent tournament I played in, should you take the deep pawn first, or should I develop the, yeah, so that's the thing. If you are not comfortable with these lines, because there are lines where you actually lose the pawn for a while. If you're not comfortable with these lines, you will struggle, because you're like, okay, what if my opponent plays this move first, and then when I play this move, then he goes takes, right? Now you don't have e4. Now you don't have e5, because let's just, for argument's sake, say you play this. Now you actually don't have this move, because knight takes, bishop takes, and now you are wondering what is going on here, right? So take time to like look at it. Take time to look at it and do it. But I don't want you to think about it as a rule. Like, don't think about it as a rule that, oh, you should always do this. No, the thing just changes. Why not just modern it? D5 is an annoying. D5 is annoying. That if your d5 is actually what you would technically want to do if your opponent blitzes out c5, right? That's why I was talking about d4, d5. Then after the bishop comes in, then c5. But if your opponent blitzes this out, then d5 is actually what you want to do. D5 is actually what you want to do. You enter into these Benoni kind of things. Wait. Why? Wait. When you say modern, you are saying we should go g6, like d4, g6. That enters into a very interesting line I do enjoy playing, like this. And I have a high win rate with this. Or are you saying for white? Dark green. Can you like give me a little bit more detail, right? But that's it. So I saw a funny comment. I like the Queen's Gambit. I'm now learning the Queen's Gambit, but I hate playing against the Queen's Gambit as black. C5 black one, yeah. yeah. So I played against somebody one time in the tournament, and he was like, oh no, I played the refutation. I knew I was better. Yeah, then win it. You know it's the refutation. Okay, it's the refutation. Win it. I played against the guy. He kept telling me that no, his position is winning. Let me just jump into that. I've shown this position before. I'm like, what was he thinking? What was he smoking that day? Let me show you. It's was it fourth? No. It was is it this? No, it wasn't this. Was it this? Was it this? Let me see. I think it was this. No, it wasn't this. Give me a second. I'll find it right now. Come on. No. Come on. Why can't I find it? Was it 14th? No, it wasn't the 14th President's Cup. Is it this? No, I have to go to chess.com to find it. I'll have to go to chess.com to find it. Let me look for it for you. Let me just look for the game for you. And I want you guys, since we are doing analysis, I want you guys to analyze the position. Oh, countering with the that's fine. But I tend to have good positions against that. Which is why I often don't recommend it. Again, you can still win. You can still there's always something you can do. You are not just losing because you play a specific line. If you understand the rules of chess, you should draw. Give me a second. I want you guys to see if he's right. But he keeps telling me that he was winning, and I'm like, bro, how do you think you were winning that? How? I've shown this game before. I think it's 13th, right? I think it was the 13th President's Cup. I played 2 over the board tournaments in a year. Yeah, this is it. This is it. Yeah. So let me switch. Let me do another board. Let me do another window capture. Let me do this. This. Let me make a big one. Okay. So this is I'm playing white here. Guys, I'm the one playing white. Okay? My opponent is a very aggressive player, right? My opponent is a very aggressive player. So my plan during this game was I will not give my opponent an aggressive position to play. But I ended up making a mistake and castling, which allows my opponent to play this annoying move. Because the point is he has this fork attacking my queen and my rook. I defend and this happens and I'm like, oh yes, I know exactly what's about to happen to me. Okay, so guys, this is the position. My opponent says he was winning. Please let's analyze this. Let's analyze this. He says he's winning in this position. Like, look, I leave it up to you guys. He says he was winning. He says he was beating me here. Please, can somebody look at this position and show me where I'm losing in this position? Again, there are so many things you have to watch out for, right? You know he's coming in here, so you have to be very careful of like playing bad moves. Because, for example, there's a trick here. If it's not a trick. Wait, what was the trick? There was a funny idea my opponent could play here. You can't play this because of this. That's one of the things. But no, there's a way he can try and trick you to play it. If he plays this, I can't remember. Oh, there were some tricky lines that he had. I can't remember. But he thought he was winning this position, which is where I was like confused. You think after Queen F2, so you think after F3 Queen F2 you're never getting checkmated? Yeah, I mean, true. Like he was so convinced that he was winning this position. I'm trying to, but there's a certain trick he could play. There's a way he could kind of trick me into playing king here, and I had to be careful about that. I can't remember. I can't remember for the life of me what it was. I can't remember what it was. But then this is what happened. So he kept playing very aggressively, right? Rook G2, Rook G6. It's my move here. So what did I play? Okay, I played in this position. I played Rook G1, right? I played Rook G1. What was it? And then he played Rook G6. So what I did was I shuffled the pieces, right? I played Rook G1 because I know that you can't win this, and if you play this is checkmate, right? So that's why I played Rook G1. Then so he played Rook G6, and I went this way. Then he brings the other rook, and I play Bishop back, attacking the queen. He trades off, and here you don't want to play Queen takes because you lose the bishop. So I played King takes. He comes in with the queen, and then I played this move. Yeah, that's what you were saying. Yeah, I understood what you were saying. So when he played this move, right, I played Rook B1, and that was the first time that he took his time. He spent like 15 minutes on this move, and he started asking me for draws. Now there's something about chess, right? When you are playing and you are aggressive and your opponent is defending, and then all of a sudden your opponent stops defending and plays a move that does nothing to deal with where he's being attacked, you suddenly realize that I literally made a mistake. You start to realize that And from this position, my opponent just kept on offering me a draw because now it's something he does whenever he's losing. He starts offering a draw, and he should stop that. Yeah. He's always, every single game I've had against this guy, he's always pushing for an attack. And he still thinks he was winning this position. I don't know why he thinks he was winning this position. I don't know why. I don't know. He was so confident that he was winning this position. I don't get it. Like, I just don't get it. Anyways, that was just by the way. You know? So the fact that you've played a refutation doesn't necessarily mean that you win. When we say that, this is how I understand the word refutation. You stop the main idea of the person from being played. There's a main plan, there's a main idea that an opening wants to achieve. The moment you play the refutation to that idea, you stop the main idea that the person wants to go for. So the person may have to settle for sub variations which may not be the best. Right, that's what I call a refutation. You stop the main plan, or you stop the main idea that your opponent would want to go for. So I consider the Scandinavian a refutation to all e4 openings. That's what I consider the Scandinavian as, right? Because if your opponent plays e4, there are so many things he wants to play. But the moment your opponent plays d5, they have to play the Scandinavian. They can't do anything else but play the Scandinavian, right? So I call it a refutation because you stop all their plans and they have to play what you play, which is the Scandinavian. Any other thing is often considered bad, right? If this happens, it's considered bad. If this happens, it's considered bad. If what again do they often play? Whatever happens is considered bad, right? Again, when I say it's considered bad, it's because I've studied the opening. Please don't just take my word for it and, oh, my opponent played this, I'm winning. Win the game. Like, you yeah, so that's about it. So let's continue with the analysis of this game. I'm playing as white here. So where did we stop? Yeah, so the argument was we're talking about why king to f2 is safe, or why you don't want to castle, right? King to f2 is safe because the point of castling is for king safety. So you can just look at this and ask yourself, is my king easily attacked in this position? If yes, then you may want to detect. So for example, you would consider something like knight takes, pawn takes, queen takes, right? You would consider something like this. If my opponent was to play this move, is it dangerous? Does it affect me? Am I in trouble? That's one of the things you ask yourself here. If maybe I can defend this way, is there any stress on me anyway? If your opponent can't effectively do something against you, then your king is safe. Of course, you look at it like, is there anything like this is what the analysis is. Like, if my opponent wanted to attack my king, how would he do it? Right? And you analyze and figure out, like, okay, is it actually good for my opponent to do that or not? Right? So don't just take my word, and when I say, oh, king f2 the king is safe, don't just take my word for it. Analyze the position and try and figure what is going on in that position. That's what you want to do. So like, and that's how you improve at chess. Sometimes play the positions you don't find comfortable. Play the good move. Like, sometimes the good move leads to a position you don't find comfortable. Sometimes learn to play it, right? Yeah, I know I personally have said that I may make moves solely to play in the position I find comfortable, but I do like at times try and play the position I find uncomfortable. Like, I'm very bad at king and pawn endgames, king, rook and pawn endgames, or rook and pawn endgames. I struggle with rook and pawn endgames, but sometimes I tend to play into a position where it's a rook and pawn endgame. Once again, we can look at a game I played. I played against a very strong IM in Ghana. It was why can't I find these games anymore? I know they are here, but I don't know why I can't find them. Why can't I just find these guys? Yeah, some of the studies you are seeing are the studies I do for my kids. I do offer training, so if you are interested, you can just let me know. Everyone struggles with rook engines, don't worry. I don't know, I feel like I have a worse problem with it, you know. But yeah, it is a difficult thing to figure out. Why did I remove these games or something? Like, I don't know why I can't find them anymore. I have to go to chess again. I think it's this. Is it this? Yeah. So I played like this against this IM. I played against this IM. Let me switch this again. Sorry. I played against this IM, and I had to enter into a position I didn't like. Like I'm just skipping to this point. Right. This is a position I would struggle with. But I was like, this is the only way I feel like I can do anything in this game. And eventually I was able to get this very active position with my king. And I managed to draw this game against him. Typically I would avoid entering these kinds of positions, but sometimes you just have to do it and try and play it out. That's the only way you improve. Right. So yeah, that's chess. It's all about your understanding of the positions. If you know what to do in a position, you are guaranteed to win a one game, draw a lost game. Not guaranteed, sorry. You are able to win a one game, draw a lost game, or yeah, I don't say lose a lost game, but yeah, you don't waste people's time when it's time to resign. Okay, so here I continued with the attack. I felt there was no stress, like there was no need to be afraid of the knight coming in, because I thought, okay, I play this move and then the knight coming in here, though like normally we say that if a knight is deep in your territory is good. I did not think that the knight coming in here was that big of a deal. That was how I evaluated this position, and I stand by my decision. I don't think this was a wrong decision to allow. I don't think it was a wrong decision to allow, because again, before I played h4, I was fully aware of the fact that my opponent could go knight to c4. So I could have, in this position, just played b3 and stop my opponent. But I completely was of the mind that it's not a big deal, so I would continue. So Ginger GM, Simon Williams, Grandmaster Simon Williams says that in chess, you want to stop your opponent's plans and push your own plans, right? So the mindset that kind of gave me is basically that evaluate your opponent's plans. Do they create a significant threat to you? If they create a significant threat to you, you should deal with them. Once you solve that issue, continue pushing your own ideas. But if the idea or the thing your opponent is doing does not impede what you are trying to do or does not create a significant threat against you, you can ignore it and push your own ideas. Now, when I say this, I'm not talking about one move threats. What is the idea behind what your opponent is doing? So let's say my opponent moved his knight here. Why is he moving his knight here? Obviously to come to this position. So I wouldn't say that, oh, knight here does nothing, so I'm pushing my idea. No, I would consider that, is the knight coming in here a problem, and at what point do I need to stop it? Then I stop it, right? So I'm not saying that, oh, unless the move is doing an immediate thing, then you deal with it. No, you should see it like moves ahead. You should see it like moves ahead. I have other games that I can use to explain this concept, but that's what you want to do. You want to stop your opponent's plans from progressing, and you want to push your own ideas. So I evaluated that this idea is slow. Now look at this, look at the board, and you kind of, I think you would agree with me. If any of you disagree and you have a counter argument, feel free. Like, we are analyzing, we are learning to analyze. But when you look at this position, especially in view of the fact that my king is going to hide in here soon, or that if ever there's a trade here, my knight just replaces itself, it looks as though Black doesn't have a clear idea of what he wants to do. The pieces just look around. Like, I can't really tell much about what Black wants to do from this position. Now, I know the overall idea of what my opponent wants to do. I know that the apex point determines where you want to attack, and it's obvious that my opponent would want to like push like c4, bring his rook in, do those kinds of things, right? I see that. But when you look at the position in this state, there's no clear threat from Black. So I completely feel like, okay, this knight here might be a waste of time. Now, this is a good square for the knight to be in. So I could evaluate it and be like, no, it's too good of a square, so let me stop my opponent. And I think that would have been a better option. That was a mistouch. Oh, no problem. Right? So maybe I should have just stopped it. I think I should have just evaluated it that no, maybe getting a knight there is a problem. Let me just play this. I was a little bit worried about losing this, like this knight being undefended with the pawn, but I was like, so I played this because I felt my attack would happen faster than my opponent doing anything on my squares. How to defend against what pawn? Oh, it has to show here first. Something. How to defend against pawn storms? You see, Lagan, when you ask me a question like that, it's like you believe that there's an answer. Most things that happen in chess depends on the position. It's case by case. So in certain cases, you may want to lock the pawn structure if your opponent is doing a pawn storm against you. Now, oftentimes we say that in situation where your opponent is attacking on one side of the board, which is like a pawn storm, you want to counter in the center. That's another thing you could do. You may also want to trade down the pawns. It's case by case. Now, trading down the pawns is a very rare thing, simply because trading down the pawns opens up more lines for your opponent to successfully attack you. So I can't say for sure that this is what you want to do. It's case by case, right? It's when you start chess that we give you like generic rules, but the truth about chess is that it's case by case. Learn the generic rules, but identify the case by case. Do you get what I'm saying? So when you are looking through your games and things are not making sense, like I said, if you have a stronger player who can look at your games for you, that's fine. If you have a coach, excellent. I believe that having a coach is one of the best ways to improve in chess. But when you play a move, or when the engine suggests a move and you don't understand why, you need it explained to you so that you kind of understand the case by case. But I don't want to just say that do this and you win. How many of you have seen that that video shots of your game? I don't recall. I did that. I don't know if it was your game or it wasn't. But how many of you have seen this funny video, Dina Belenkaya? The guy's name is Bob, but she does this. So in this position, what should you do? Move my king. Then he's like, in this position, what should you do? Move my king. And then she's like, the next time she says it, and he's like, no. What do you think? That thing, right? That is literally chess. You can't just say always do this. It's case by case, right? Please, as always, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. Which one was it? The one where I was like, move the bishop back and you move the bishop back? If that was the case, yeah, that was a funny one. I don't know if you were actually watching the stream, but you seemed to play it after I said it. That's why I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, but that's funny. So yeah, I can't give you a straightforward answer. Anyways, you are studying and improving on your own, so it's going to be difficult. Now, I'm also somebody, I never had a coach. I always have to explain this. I never had a coach, but anyways, I learned chess on my own. I had somebody to teach me the basics, as in like, how do the pieces move? What is the center of a chessboard, right? But all these concepts I now understand in chess, I had to learn them on my own, watching YouTube, playing games, having friends, those kind of things, right? You struggle because sometimes your problem is not obvious to you. This is why I personally, yes, I do offer coaching, but I personally, because I didn't have a coach, I value having a coach, right? I had people who I started chess with. The day they had a coach, they completely surpassed me in chess, because a coach can see what the issue is, right? When the coach can tell, this is what you are struggling with. Yeah, the YouTube videos will help you, but sometimes even with the YouTube videos, you still don't know, because there's a plethora of information. How do you siphon out what is necessary for you to know now, and then all those kinds of things? Don't watch too many. A lot of different chess players have different ways they explain things. Find one person or two people who I would say give you decent information, like they speak in a way you understand, and learn from them. Because we all have different views of certain things. Like some of the things I'm saying today is not something that every chess player will agree with, based on their level of understanding and all those kinds of things, right? So don't be going too far. Some people have so many, like you can confuse yourself. So I often recommend John Bartholomew and Ginger GM. But right now I realize ever since his passing, the late Daniel Awadisky, everybody has literally been saying he's like the best. So you can check him out. 3 has been telling me that Master Chess Dojo is also very good. You can also check him out as well. So I normally limit myself to 2. I watch Chess Bras, I watch the rest, but when I want to learn, I stick to a certain group of people, and that's how I form my basis. So yeah, John Bartholomew is an IM, Simon Williams is a GM, but I think how they explain things is what I fell in love with. I fell in love with Ginger GM explanation. I fell in love with John Bartholomew's explanation. Chess Bras, I don't know, they are more entertainment based in my opinion. I'm not saying that they're a bad channel. I just said that, like, I learned a lot from them when they used to invite Yasei Serawan to their streams, but these days they don't really do that anymore. So I've not been on their channel, so I don't know what's going on there anymore. Yeah, so yeah, I think maybe I should have just played. Let me just confirm, because if I had played this, I don't know if my opponent can still like continue. yeah, give me a second. Yeah, I maybe I could play this, because now pawn push, this is going to resemble some. Oh, pawn push doesn't exist yet. So let's say takes pawn push. Yeah, it kind of resembles Holyzuka what. Boom. So I said John Bartholomew. Ginger GM. He goes by Ginger GM, not his actual name. And I can't spell Naroditsky. Anyone who can spell Naroditsky, please spell Naroditsky. Okay. I can't spell Naroditsky. I know I'll butcher the TSK part. That's why I don't want to go there. The narrow I can do, the Ditsky is where I'll mess up. Okay. So okay, yeah, so let me just confirm this if I'm right, or if C4 would be a better. Queen B5. Queen B5, castle's queen side. Interesting. Castle's queen side is actually, yeah, castle's queen side is very good. Queen B5 is also a good move, which I think I played at some point. Yeah, but castle's queen side C5. Castle's queen side C5. I think here you trade, right? Trade, knight can't take. Bishop takes. I wouldn't want to play bishop takes, but yeah, that's the only move you want to play. Yeah, and the attack goes on. Yeah, the attack just goes on. This move comes in. Still, this guy can come in and annoy me. Because, for example, if like in this position I go G5, no, G5 is not good. Let's go H4, 5. This move still exists, and you can see that there's pressure on this square. So this is like a triple attack, right? 1, 2, 3. I only have 2 defenders, and defending one loses the other. So I would have to defend against checkmates, which would allow this to happen. And I think you take with his knight first, right? Because bishop takes, king moves, and then you come in this way. Because now you're going to bring your rook in. So do we then still have to, so let's say this, do we then go c5 now? Again, I'm weakening the dark squares, so I'm not so sure. Knight a4. Oh, knight a4 is so obvious. Why am I so dumb? Knight a4 is so obvious. Yeah, this is so obvious. Yeah, knight a4 is so obvious. Yeah, so you can't play queen there first. You have to play something else. Can't we just break open the center by e4 before the knight jumps in? Playing e4 here, we can. But I mean, I think we just can. I don't think there's a big but. But the issue is this. Right? Don't forget that it's not compulsory to capture in chess. So this is it? Wait, no, it's not a big deal. No. Knight just takes, right? Knight just takes. Yeah, you can. Okay, but we should take rather. And after knight takes, then the queen, knight takes. My point is, I think the engine is showing it, but my point is, if we were to break in the center, we lose the aggression we have in the position. It's not checkers, people say here. we lose the aggression, right? I prefer the position the way it is because it makes it easier for me to continue my idea, right? This goes against my idea. Pawn push goes against my idea. From what the engine is pointing out, a lot of trades happen and the attack just ceases from that point, right? And now these guys become like clear weaknesses. So from what the engine, for example, was saying here, this is not as strong. It's something my opponent could possibly target in the future. So I personally want to keep the aggression. Yeah. But you know, I recently realized that there's strategy in checkers. I saw a book about like strategy in checkers. I was shocked. I don't remember anything I read, but yeah. But I mean, I'm sure those who play Go will be like, it's not chess. If you guys know what Go is like Chinese chess, but it's much more random because you can't tell where your opponent is going to start placing his pieces, right? So I'm sure the Chinese chess players are like, it's not chess. Anyways, yeah. So that's personally why I wouldn't want to play e5, e4. Okay, but it doesn't like h4. It just doesn't like h4. I think it would prefer e5. No, this is not my position. Sorry, I thought it was my position. Sorry. Yeah, so h4 here is fine, I think. Yeah, it's not. Yeah, but knight c4, b3, knight 8. So this is actually bad. My opponent. This is where I actually expected my opponent to go, but I think my opponent's view was that he's guarding these two squares. If I come in this way, he may have this down the line. Not here, but this is a possibility, right? I don't know how he would have achieved that. That is where my issue is. Because pawn push, I'm not going to take this way for you to play something like this. Even this doesn't work. So I don't know why he felt this move was good. Okay. Kudos. The good thing I would say about this move is that my queen now loses its access to the h7 pawn, right? So that's what I'll say is good about it. And now I'm in a pin. Wait, this is what happened. Sorry. So I played queen b5 here because I wanted to force my opponent to go for the trade, right? And once the trade happens, the same idea, king f, and I'm fine. But instead, what happened, I think, was he defends here, and this should be very bad. Like this should be just completely winning for white. And maybe the way I went about it, that's wrong, because you know sometimes a free pawn is not a free pawn. When you study these poison pawn variations, for example, let me give you an example. I played a London, so you always see a London system from me. For example, this. I think it's better to take here or something like that. But this, when you see poison pawn variations, you are always like very careful about making moves like this. They go this way, you play this move, you play the position. Basically, I think they play bishop, play this. The game goes on. I think this is the line. If I'm wrong, you can always correct me. So Lagan, are you noticing something? I'm always making reference to a position. Like I always trace back to something that resembles something, right? Because you understand things based on a position. So if you've seen a position before, you can trace back to it and you can be like, oh yeah, this is what happens. Like what 3 did yesterday. Like I was playing a game and I had a move like bishop takes here, blocking a rook. And I didn't want to make that move because it felt uncomfortable. And then 3 immediately points out a game where that whole thing was done, which was here, I think. Karpov is the one who does that move. And he immediately points out a position where the move I did not want to play was done, like this. He immediately points it out, right? So having the knowledge of the position is much more valuable than knowing the moves. Right? I always blame the engine. I always hate the engine for that because it's become there's a guy in Ghana chess. Every time he plays a game, what is the engine saying? What's the engine saying? Like I understand, but he's a strong player. He's like 1900, so it's not like he's a beginner. Like I'm sure he understands how to use the engine, but he's always What's the engine saying? What's the engine saying? Like anytime you analyze this game, what's the engine saying? So sometimes I have this tendency to think that he knows his whole thing is 20 moves of the engine. Like some people are like that, they've memorized like 20 moves. They do have some knowledge in chess, but because they have memorized the engine lines completely, then they just go from there. But anyways, that's fine. That's fine. Let's finish up the game too. Let's finish up the game too. We've been on this for too long. We're almost even at the 3-hour mark. So yeah, so this is what happened. So here I still do think everything is fine, right? I block here. My opponent plays h5. Now at this point there's no attack, so if I try and attack, it would be a wrong idea to go for. I could still try, but again, like, who is going to attack? I don't have a bishop targeting there, my queen is not targeting there, my rook is not really going to be targeting there anymore. Right now the truth is, because I took these 2 pawns, it's my opponent's turn to counter attack. So the idea I should be going for here is to neutralize my opponent's attack. That is what I should do here. Once I can neutralize my opponent's attack, I'm definitely winning the end game with good play, because I have the potential to make 2 pass pawns in this position, or 1 pass pawn in this position. So of course you play this. My opponent jumps. This is even like, this is not good. The idea is to move the rook and then jump the knight this way, but this is not good. Yeah, maybe I should have just played this move first. Maybe I should have just played this move. No. The reason I didn't play is because of rook takes. But I still take here, so it's not that big of a deal. Yeah, I could have just done that. There's no stress. Yeah, so I could have played this. If my opponent runs away, like here, I can play this move. And now I can like target my... Oh, not really. He's going to play this move next. I can play this move. But then we're going to have this again. I don't know. Oh, wait. We take the pawn. We take the pawn. But this is also an annoyance. We can play bishop. No, because he just plays knight takes. But we can take. Knight takes. It's 4 versus 3. But still, the pass pawns issue is not solved. Okay, this is a whole lot of stuff. Okay. This is a whole lot of stuff. Okay. So instead, I move the king. Actually, why didn't I just move the king here? This is just safe. Right? It stops this whole thing. I don't see my opponent doing this anytime soon. Yeah, could I just play that move? Bishop back is not what he played, sorry. I played king f2. King f2 I think is wrong. Yeah, king f2 I think is wrong. Because like, look, like, imagine my king was here and I did the exact same thing. The same position. My opponent plays this. I play this. He takes. I take. And the move that caused me to be uncomfortable never exists. So this is what basically what happened in the game is that this is what happened. Again, I'm still fine here, but I allowed my opponent. Actually, I'm still winning here, but the problem is I lost track of the position. I lost track of the position because my rooks are holding down the fort, right? Like this. Anytime my opponent tries to target something else, I move somewhere else, right? And I lose track. By playing this move, I've lost track because now my opponent just takes here. That's how I lose. But I think I was doing well in the interim. Oh, by the way, to those who just joined us, I do play viewers on Fridays. So I stream Mondays, Tuesdays, and Fridays. I play viewers on Fridays. So if any of you probably want to play against me, come on Friday. So you can join the Discord so that you are alerted whenever I go live. And for those who do want coaching, you are beginner to chess. Let's say you are 900 to like 1400 and you want someone to help you out. You can message me on my email. Wait, I want to check something. Amazing. second. Yeah, that's correct. I feel like maybe people are sending me emails and I'm not receiving them. But yeah, please, I'm not saying free. So when I say that it's not a free thing, you would have to pay. The whole point of the emailing me is so that we discuss, because it differs based on like duration, number of meetings or number of sessions and so on and so forth, right? Of course there's a per hour rate, but based on we can out stuff, right? Yeah, so that's basically it. I do also, in the interims, I do cover African tournaments. This channel tries to focus more on African things. So whenever you are you are around and see me covering a tournament, feel free to join in. Oh boy. Yeah, so that's enough about the advertising, and I lost from here. I don't know if there's a way to save this position. This is actually where I wanted to focus more on. Okay, so rook c8. Wait, that's wrong. So I should have gone rook c8. That rook c8, but I felt like my opponent's king defends, so I don't see the point. Then my opponent has check, and he can eventually. What? Oh, sorry. Yeah. Oh, okay. So once he comes in there, he doesn't. So he has this move. Rook tc to c8. Okay, the knight comes in here, and that's mating one. Oh. Oh. And the other thing is, if the opponent jumps in here, just take the knight. Here, you just take the rook. Okay. Okay, so I wasn't really lost. I played this move because I saw this check and I felt like, okay, here my opponent comes in check, I come in here. No, that's not why I played. I played this because I wanted to double up on this square and target this pawn. That's why I played this move. I had a completely wrong idea. I should have just created a new threat. I was so worried about my opponent pressurizing me here. And yeah, okay, actually, what happens if I do this? If my opponent does this? I think we still go for it, right? Yeah, but then doesn't he just check me? No, I have one free move. Like every single time the rooks check you, if they want to checkmate you, you get one free move. Let me demonstrate that. So for example, let's say I go this way and I go back here. Right, if my opponent wants to checkmate me like this, he would have to eventually go somewhere like this, right? So this is the one free move. Oh no, it still doesn't work. No, I was thinking that after the one free move I can checkmate my opponent, because the point I'm trying to make here is if I allow this, it's possible that, like for example, if the knight was not here, what I'm trying to point out, like if the knight was not here and I had that my free move as I'm talking about, like let's say my opponent comes in here, then this is checkmate. Sorry. Checkmate, right? This is checkmate. That's what I was trying to point out. But I think I was wrong there. So wait. So we go this way. If my opponent comes in this way, I will just take the rook. Oh, we just take the rook. Okay. Yeah, so there was no... Oh, I was so worried about my opponent doing things that he couldn't actually do. That was actually sad. It's actually sad I didn't notice that. Yeah, it's completely fine. There was no need to panic. Okay. I hope you guys learned something today. I hope you guys enjoyed the stream. I hope you guys learned something. I hope you enjoyed yourself. There are more games to look at, but time's passing. So I want to take a hold here. We do these steady streams every Tuesday. So anytime you're around, you can always just drop by and we will learn together. Yeah, so we're doing more of these analysis and maybe once in a while we'll look at one or two different games. I really wanted us to look at every single game and eventually get to the game that 3 sent to me, or may have to do that another time. Thank you guys so much. If you haven't subscribed, follow, leave a comment, like, support the stream. Again, I'm monetized on Twitch, so if you want to support the stream monetarily, you can go on Twitch, you can subscribe, you can gift subs. The donos are off because PayPal isn't available in my country. If you know of a way that I can still do it, I've tried Flutterwave, it doesn't work. I've tried other stuff, they don't work. But if you have any way, you can recommend them to me so I can do that as well. Thank you guys so much, and I will see you in the next stream, which is on Friday. Thank you guys so much once again. I did. Okay, have a great rest of your day. Peace.